Hey everyone, this is Edwin Olvera from Edwin Olvera Dance and Creative Services. And in this particular Saturday session, I have my wonderful friend and former colleague, Annika Sheaff. Now she has another name she goes by. It'd be Annika Rinderknecht Sheaff from the mountains of Guam, something like this. Annika is a former member of Pilobolus Dance Theater. That's where we met and did a lot of crazy, wonderful work together. As well as she's a current member of Groundworks Dance Theater, which is based in Ohio. And she's also the fairy godfather to my son.
Godmother.
Godmother.
Fairy
Oh, my
godmother.
God. Godmother. The fairy godfather of Jeffrey. I apologize. I'm looking forward to having this interview, so thank you, Annika, for your time. The first question I ask everyone is, what were the early signs that either you noticed or your parents noticed that you were going to become a mover?
Well, when I was 3 years old, I was taking music classes at a preschool, which was a big movement and music academy. And so I was banging on the drums when I was 3. And down the hallway, I saw these beautiful ballerinas. And I told my mom that I wanted to do that. I said, Mom, I want to do what they're doing. And she was like, oh, I don't know, honey. I mean, I don't know. That's very, dancing's very hard. It's very strict. And I don't know. Maybe we just stick with music for a while. And I was like, no, Mommy, I want to do it. I promise I want to do it. It looks so great. So she signed me up when I was 3. And I've basically been spinning and twirling ever since. I do remember one incident, though, where I think I was 16 years old and I went down to the American Ballet Theater Summer Intensive in Alabama. And I was at this new place with all these new people. I didn't know anybody, and somebody comes in to cast they're going to make a brand new piece of choreography on the students, and he gives me a solo. And I remember my dad coming to the performance and seeing me do this solo. I was the only one in a red costume, and he said that was the first time he saw me dance, that he could see me actually becoming a professional dancer.
Wow, what a wonderful moment. And when you were studying dance, what were some of the other styles, or were you mainly focused in ballet?
I started with creative movement, like learning your right, your left, and waving scarves, and just, turning into a butterfly, that type of thing. And then I started taking ballet and modern classes. And then later I added in jazz. And then I went on point. And then even later I started taking choreography classes. I never studied tap and I never studied hip hop. But the further along I got in my studies, then the more choreographers that I worked with, the more people demanded that you basically just know how to do everything, that you have to be extremely versatile to be successful. So I tried as best as I could to always mimic people's way of moving and, to be very, use my mind creatively if they asked me to solve a problem, and never try to box myself in or stereotype myself as one type of dancer.
Wonderful. Now, Annika, people don't know where you're from. Can you tell people what region of Illinois?
Yes. I was born in Hinsdale, Illinois, but I spent most of my time, I grew up in Palatine, Illinois, but I was always training in dance in Oak Park, Illinois. So I'm, from Chicagoland suburbs, and affiliated with a bunch of different places. I went to high school downtown at the Chicago Academy for the Arts, and trained at the Academy of Movement and Music in Oak Park, Illinois, from the time I was 3 years old until I was 18. And that was really always my dance home. I love it there. The people there are amazing. The teachers are great. And I've gone back to choreograph and teach, and I'm going to go there again in June to work with them. It's an amazing facility for young dancers to learn a lot of different things.
And then when did you go off to New York then?
I moved to New York when I was 18. I got accepted to go to the Juilliard school, and basically if you get accepted there, you want to try to go. It's very, very prestigious opportunity. So of course I got accepted and I couldn't really believe it. I thought it was kind of a joke. And then once I could wrap my mind around it, my parents said they thought that would be great. And I moved to New York when I was 18 and, studied in Manhattan for 4 years, which was crazy. The school is very, very demanding, and I learned so much, and it was extremely challenging for the entire 4 years. But I think it was a very good experience for me overall to learn my craft and become the best dancer that I could possibly be.
And Annika, when you were at Juilliard, did you do like dance history, and did you study a little bit about Pilobolus before you auditioned for the company?
Well, we did have dance history. The problem with the course was that it was a 9 a.m. course, and we were all really tired at that time of day because we usually had rehearsals until about 10 p.m. the night before. So if I'm very honest, I didn't retain much of the information from that class. I remember that they mentioned the company Pilobolus, but I didn't really know much about it, and I don't think I was really paying attention as best I could in the class. There was a lot of things we learned in that class that I don't remember anymore, and I wish I did. So I do remember, I remember they showed the video, maybe it was the Dance in America film of Untitled. And I remember thinking, wow, that's so interesting. Those women look so tall, and now they're birthing out grown men. Like, that's so weird. But I didn't remember the name of the company or who was doing that or why. That didn't really stick. So when I was at school and I saw the audition posting for, Pilobolus Dance Theater needs one woman, my goal for the end of my senior year was to have a job. I didn't care if I was dancing on Disney Cruise Lines or performing with Netherlands Dance Theater. As long as I had a job in the performing arts and dancing, I was going to be happy. And my goal was to have that by the time I graduated. So I saw this audition posting and I decided that I was going to go, and I had no idea really what Pilobolus was, which is kind of really, really funny in hindsight, but it turned out okay for me.
It sure did. I remember you auditioning and everything, and it was such a blast to have you in the room. Your humor and your height, and your legs, you were so long. And but I'm so happy that you I love the fact that you said you had this goal, and the goal was that you wanted to make sure you got a job when you left university. A lot of times people are dancers. They go to these universities to get a 4-year degree and not sure what they're going to do. And the simple fact that you had that intention, it already sets you on the road of being hired as an artist.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always good to set goals.
Here's the question. It has to do with when you were studying dance, whether it was at university level or even before you got there. What was the style of movement that really caught your eye and you wanted to explore it a little bit more?
Well, I actually always loved doing ballet. It was always super, super challenging. And I had, at least my teachers told me, I had a natural facility or body type. I had very pointy feet, so when I was dancing on point, I could balance really well. And I wasn't, at the time when I was like 16, 17, I wasn't super tall and I wasn't very curvy. And so, they thought, well, this girl could definitely be a ballerina. So they always kind of coached me in that direction. But then I started to get a little bit older. I started to get a little bit more curves. And I thought, I'm not sure I can be a ballerina. And also my bunions, like I have these giant bunions on my feet, and dancing in point shoes, it really, really hurts. And I'm not really sure that this is something that's sustainable for me, but I do love dancing so much, I got to figure out what I can do. And I remember very vividly going to see a performance of Hubbard Street Dance Chicago, and I think I was probably 15 or 16, and they performed a piece called Minus 16 by Ohad Naharin, and I had never heard of this choreographer before. I had never seen this type of movement, and there was audience participation, and the movement was so wild and free, and they finished the piece and I was just crying, and I couldn't figure out why was I crying. I was just like so moved by this choreographer's work and the way that the dancers interpreted the movement. And I thought, wow, I didn't even know that dance was such a powerful art form. I didn't know that I could go see a show and be so moved and have such a big reaction to it. So that was a really groundbreaking moment for me, and it also made me realize that I don't have to be a ballerina. I can be a professional dancer and not wear point shoes. I can tell stories through movement, and I can really shape people's lives using my art form. I think one of the things I always struggled with dance is that, well, my father's a surgeon. He's literally saving lives every day. And so being the child of a surgeon, you feel kind of like, well, I should probably do something really worthwhile with my life. You know, I should save people. I should go into the medical field. I should be in the Peace Corps. I need to do something to like help planet Earth, you know. And I'm sitting here thinking, but really all I want to do is be a dancer. But what does a dancer do? A dancer doesn't save lives. A dancer doesn't change global warming. A dancer is just a dancer. Like, I really, really struggled with this for a long time. And then I saw this performance and I was in the audience and I thought, you know what? Dance does change lives every day. Anytime you do a performance, you're giving the audience an opportunity to be removed from maybe the drama of their life or have an escape from their reality that's maybe really sad, or maybe they're really sick and they just want to see something that's going to make them laugh. Like, in our own way, artists are really changing and shaping the world. And I think it took me a very long time to learn that.
And sometimes as the artists, you know, we bring up subjects and bring them into our pieces of work, which then confront those issues that at first you may think, why is dance even talking about it? You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
And that's really powerful and moving. Annika, as you know, dancers get injured, right? We get injured because of repetitive motion. I mean, some of the injuries are equivalent to elite athletes, and we both know the company that we had done quite a bit of work for. You can hurt your neck, your shoulder, right, your knees. And so what were some of the let's just, you know, talk about an injury that you dealt with dancing professionally, and then how did you overcome it?
Well, I'm going to knock on wood and say that I feel super lucky that I've never had a super bad injury that's been debilitating or taken me out of work for a long time. I'm really grateful about that. But I did have a knee surgery. It was crazy. I was in college and I was having chronic knee pain, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And so I had an MRI. They told me my meniscus was torn. Okay, great. You know, that's not that complicated. You just have a little surgery, take a couple months off, and then you can get back to work. It's fine. But for me, it was weird. I went to have the surgery. I woke up and the doctor told me that, he had never seen a more perfect knee and that he was terribly sorry, but somebody misread my MRI and my meniscus was not torn. They didn't have to do anything. So I still had to take like 6 weeks off, but then I was able to get back to dance. So that was kind of a crazy experience for me, in just learning that, like, I should always get more than one opinion, and when I have an injury and I have to get an MRI to get it read by multiple people before going under the knife, that was a really valuable lesson for me. But other than that, everything that I've had, you know, my neck has been thrown out and I have to go to the chiropractor, or not do certain moves in a show, or I can't really function doing like a specific role or something, you know. And I think at least with Pilobolus, people were always very accommodating because there were only 7 of us, and I feel like somebody was always mildly injured at some point. Like, there was never a show when we were all 110%. And I think we really worked well as a team to support each other and do whatever we had to do 150 shows a year. But I've never been hurt so crazy bad. I think the worst experience I've had is being sick and being forced to do a show. I remember we were performing at Princeton, and I had, 103 or 104 fever or whatever, and the flu, and I couldn't move. And there's no backup. There's nobody to just come in and do the show for you, so you have to perform. You just have to do it. And that's absolutely the worst experience. You feel like you're going to die, and someone's like, all right, take your clothes off and run around. Look happy about it.
Annika, was that during the time when we were premiering Lanterna Magica?
I don't even remember that. I was so out of it, I don't even remember what we were doing.
And that's the only place I can remember for as far as Princeton and being there. But yeah, it's
very possible.
Our former former colleague of Pilobolus, Monalik, he always talked about how there's different degrees of injury, and how as an artist we should be able to regulate and say, this is where, when it hurts so much and you really need to adjust things, then we will. But if it's not and you can get through it, then do that,
Well, yeah, especially when you don't have, like on Broadway, everybody has a swing and everybody can take a night off if they need to, or go on a vacation, or, there's hundreds of people involved in doing one show. In Pilobolus, it's like 7 people. All right, that's it. Good luck.
Yeah, for sure. Annika, what's inspiring you right now as an artist?
That's a great question. There's a choreographer. He's actually my age, which is inspiring and also devastating at the same time, because he's wildly successful and able to do all these amazing things that I wish that I could be doing as well. His name is Alexander Ekman, and he's a choreographer. He danced with Netherlands Dance Theater and then started making his own work. And he's just choreographing all over the world, primarily on large European ballet companies. But his work is really, really always challenging, like what is kind of the norm of what we think of as dance. So he did a Swan Lake for, I think, the Royal Swedish Ballet, and he literally filled the stage with like half a foot of water and has ballerinas on stage doing all of this splashing, rhythmic water choreography to the classic Swan Lake. And I don't know, everything he does, it's like every new project that he takes on, he's just blowing my mind with how imaginative and creative he is. So he's a big inspiration to me right now, and the fact that he's my age kind of makes me feel like I need to light the fire under my own butt and get going a little bit. I'm also recently inspired to create films. It's a new thing for me. I've always loved to take pictures and make little films just for fun, but I recently won a grant called the Cuyahoga Arts and Culture Creative Workforce Fellowship, and they're giving me money and the whole year of 2016 to create my own dance film, which is super cool, and nobody does that. So I'm excited to see what I can do with that kind of time and money, and yeah, just to see if I can push my own boundaries a little bit and get some interesting images.
If there was a new style of movement, especially like in your vocabulary, what would it be? What would you like to try to learn and to apply?
Like if I was going to start to learn a new skill right now?
Yeah, exactly. Like, maybe aerial arts or belly dancing or capoeira or something like that.
Yeah, I would love to learn, a couple of different things, I guess. I'd love to learn to break dance or like house dance. I'd love to go and spend some time with choreographer Crystal Pite and learn more about her style of movement. It's all very so fluid and well connected. I find it really interesting. And I'm also I would like to maybe spend time learning about American Sign Language so that I could use gestures that have meaning inside some of my own choreography. That would be very interesting to me.
Oh, Annika, I have to share this with you. So about 2 weeks ago, I went to a big drag show. There was over 1,000 people from UWM and the Milwaukee area, and it was over the top. And the people who were signing for the songs were so amazing that they kept getting tips. They were so expressive.
Oh, wow.
And it was mind blowing. Imagine hearing like a Cher song or something like that, and you see the, there's like a split screen, right? You see the drag queen person doing their number, and then off to the side you see the sign language person equally as expressive, but using her hands and her body. Like this shit was just mind blowing. And I kept thinking,
that's very cool.
I kept thinking, God, I would love to see choreography like this,
Yeah. Yeah, that would
so
be
different.
super neat.
Annika, well, I'm looking at my phone and my battery's about to die, and I don't want you to cut out mid-conversation. But
Okay.
what are some ways that people can find out about you online, like social media-wise?
I'm on Facebook, just my name, Annika Sheaff. I'm also on Instagram. I think my name is Ani Sheaff on Instagram, and I also have a website, which is just www.annikasheaff.com. I need to update it, but other than that, you can still get a hold of me.
And if people want to hear more of Annika and I talking, they can take a look at a video that we posted recently about sharing stories as a freelance dancer. And I think it's important that, we do get a chance to hear how different artists get into their field of work, and then how do they survive, in this craft, because not everyone gets a chance to be a working professional dancer, it's
Right.
some people they go to school, they do the stuff for it, and then life comes and gives them a curveball, and then they totally miss out on the opportunity. So
Yeah.
Annika, I look forward to seeing what happens with your year-long project.
Thanks.
And I look forward to posting this video, this audio video interview of ours. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to speaking with you soon, Annika.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Edwin.
Bye, Bubba.
Bye.
Hey everyone, this is Edwin Olvera from Edwin Olvera Dance and Creative Services. And for Friday's session, we're going to be talking about 3 reasons for why you would turn down a particular project. A lot of times as freelance dancers, we're so happy to take work, but there are moments where you have to stand your ground and say, no, I'm not going to accept this offer. And here's my first suggestion. The first one has to do with the price point. Sometimes, a nonprofit or a for-profit business, they'll say, listen, what's your price for this particular project? And I would say, ask them, well, what's your budget that you have? And then once you find out what that budget is, you look at how many days it requires you to be on there, how many hours or meetings that